To begin our journey into color theory, let's start by taking a look at the color wheel. This is a typical paper color wheel that you can buy at any art supply store, even a Michael's or a hobby store. I suggest you pick one up if you happen to find it. If not, you can find several online that will work well, and in the future, we're going to make our own. The first thing that we want to talk about in terms of color theory is going to be the idea about warm and cool colors. There are two ways that we talk about warm and cool. Warm and cool. Two ways. One has to do with the color wheel overall. And the second has to do with individual colors. So we've got our three primary colors. Primary colors are red, blue, and yellow. Okay, so those are our primaries. Primary. And then in between, we have what are called secondary colors. Secondary. And the secondary colors come from mixing two primary colors. Yellow and blue make a green. Yellow and red make an orange. And red and blue make a purple. So primaries and secondaries. Now, what we're really focused on this week is the idea of warm and cool, because painting is all about contrast, and there are tons of different kinds of contrast. What was the first type of contrast that we've been looking at so far? It's the contrast of value, the difference between light and dark values. That's our first and primary type of contrast. Next is all about warm and cool contrast. So we can actually divide this color wheel into warm and cool. I'm going to turn it so it's just makes a little bit more sense. Okay, we can take our regular color wheel with just our primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, and our secondary colors, orange, green, and purple, and we can actually draw a line right down the center of our color wheel. On the left, we've got cool colors, and on the right, we have warm colors. So when you think about warm colors, you can think about something like fire or the sun. And under cool, what do you think of? Maybe water or a shady tree, nature, something like that. So if you think about those things, fire and the sun and anything like that is actually made up of these three basic colors. Sometimes you'll see others in there, but that's kind of outside of the point. And then we've got water, which we associate with blue, green of nature, maybe sometimes flowers come into this purple area, and these are cooler. So this is a really easy way to remember those. I think about fire and water. These are really clear ways to separate these. So whenever you're dealing with any of these three colors or variations in between them, those are warm colors. And whenever you're dealing with these three colors or variations in between those are cool colors. The second way that we talk about warm and cool colors is with individual colors. Let's take, I think blue is a great one. Let's take our blue and make a little sketch here. Okay. Okay. Here we have two blues. They're both blue, right? But one of them is warmer and one of them is cooler. So we have the overall color wheel can be divided into warm and cool, but then each color individually can also be thought of as warm or cool. So which of these is the warm blue and which of these is the cool blue? If you said this is the warm blue, you're right. And this is the cool blue. Okay, well, maybe that was kind of easy. What about, let's make it more complicated. What if we say, we're using reds. That's a little trickier. Let's change that a little bit. There we go. Okay, what about these two reds? That's a little hard to tell, right? Let's look at them for a second. Check out the color wheel. This red is exactly the same as this red. And this red is slightly more orange. It's not quite orange, but it's maybe somewhere in between the two of them. So the fact that we're moving this direction toward all this warm stuff means that this is the warm red and this is the cool red. Let's see if we can try it again with something a little bit different. How about green? There's a lot of different types of green, right? So let's look at this green. That's very nice. And let's look at this green. Okay, they're really similar. We would call both of those green. Which one's warm and which one's cool? You probably get it by now. This green has more yellow in it. It leans more towards yellow, so it's warm. This green has more blue in it. It leans towards blue, so it's cool. That's our basic start to try to understand the difference between warm and cool. Remember, there are two ways to talk about this. We've got the first way, which is a more generalized view that has to do with the color wheel overall. And the second way we talk about warm and cool is with individual colors. Each individual color can be warm or cool.